Alright, what's good everyone? Welcome back to another video. In this video, I want to talk about why the Z Fold 6 is actually the best foldable phone on the market. Just bar for bar, pound for pound, I feel like the Z Fold 6 is the best overall. So I want to talk about that and also talk about how YouTubers, they don't give you the full story when they talk about these devices. Like a lot of these tech YouTubers, when they review these phones, like it's the Automagic V3 Global Edition, when they review these phones, they just say minimal things like, oh yeah, it's the slimmest foldable phone, the bigger screen than the Z Fold 6, bigger battery, blah, blah, blah. But they don't actually give you a look into what the experience is like when owning these phones, the everyday, day-to-day life experience. So I want to talk a little bit about that as well. So let's get into this video. So right off the bat, first things first, let me just get out of the way. Yes, the Automagic V2 and a lot of other foldable phones are slimmer than the Z Fold 6. Like that is not a question. Yes, they have better camera hardware. Like a lot of them have better camera hardware for sure. But that doesn't always translate to better photos and videos. And yes, basically every other foldable phone right now has a bigger outer display than the Z Fold 6. Do those things make a foldable phone better than the other one? I feel like it depends on what you personally want. I don't think it's objective in terms of like what is better. I also don't think that this hardware is leaps and bounds ahead of Samsung's hardware. Thinness and lighter weight and stuff like that, like it's definitely cool, really good engineering. You know, it's amazing what they packed into this in terms of like the battery size and stuff like that when it comes to thinness. But at the same time, like Samsung's engineering is also really peak and amazing. Like this looks really good, probably the best looking foldable phone on the market in my opinion. And Samsung also has the best hinge. Like people don't talk about this enough. Samsung hinges can sit at any angle more than any other foldable phone on the market. So when you use flex mode and stuff like that, the hinge is really good. You know, Samsung has water resistance, it has IP4, so you know, some kind of dust resistance, but not really dust resistance. Samsung screens are bright, some of the best screens in the industry. And overall, like the aspect ratio of the Z Fold 6 is also really good and more compatible with apps than a lot of these other foldable phones. So it's not like Samsung's hardware is lagging behind in any way. You know, this is just like one way of doing it for sure. Like this is a lot slimmer and it's lighter, but it's not necessarily leaps and bounds better than the Z Fold 6. In terms of like your everyday usage, because you got trade-offs. Yes, this has a bigger screen, but the Z Fold 6 is easier to use with one hand. Yes, this is slimmer, but then the camera bump is huge, which makes it like in reality, if you go all the way down the phone, the camera bump kind of puts it at the same thickness as the Z Fold 6. Yes, it does have a bigger outer display, but the software is not as refined and developed as the Z Fold 6. Like even just looking at the always on displays, like the always on display on the Z Fold 6, you know, is just a little bit more functional. And this is like with the wallpaper showing. You have widgets, you can put different things on your always on display. You can customize, you know, these buttons on your lock screen. You can just generally do a lot more when it comes to customization. And then if you want to go further, you can disable the wallpaper always on display and like literally put like any widget on your phone on your lock screen and you're always on display on the Z Fold 6. So customization is way better than any other foldable phone on the market. And then when we're talking about like daily usage, like the software, this is something that I really don't see phone reviewers actually showing the users. Just like the daily stuff, like you know, using the app drawer, swiping through the phones and stuff like that. You know, the quick toggles, the notification panel, all that stuff. I don't really see reviewers kind of showing those things and like multitasking. How does it work? How fluid is it? The Z Fold 6, I've tried all the foldable phones. Well, not all of them, but I've tried a good amount. I've tried the OnePlus Open, the original Pixel Fold, the Pixel 9 Pro Fold, the Automagic V3 now. The Z Fold 6 is smoother than all of them and more consistent when it comes to the animation and the smoothness, general smoothness. All the other foldable phones that I've just listed, they often stutter, they often have weird animation quirks. The animations, they might look a little bit smoother. Like for example, the Pixel 9 Pro Fold and the Pixel Fold, the animations look smoother in terms of like, you know, swiping and stuff like that and like little bouncy animations that Google has. But there's a couple parts of the animation that are just flawed. When you're swiping up to access the app drawer on the Pixel Folds and the Pixel devices in general, the animation is a little too fast and it goes black like really quickly, so it looks kind of like a glitch. It looks like it's just glitching into the frame. Whereas Samsung's animation is just completely smooth. There's a clear transition between, you know, the two screens. And it is fast, but it's not like a broken blink. if that makes sense. It's not like a cut in a video, like my videos where I'm talking and I make a mistake and I cut to the next thing and sometimes it's not perfect. I feel like Samsung's animations are more consistent, if that makes sense. There's no part of the animations on Samsung phones where the animation is like glitchy or stuttery. Whereas with all these other ones, like I'm gonna show you the Honor Magic. So going into the app switcher, look at this right here. When you swipe out of the app switcher, it kind of like brings it to the back and then brings it out. So like that's not necessarily bad, but it's also very slow. Like a lot of the animations on the Honor Magic V3 are very slow and they just like it's not as smooth. Like even when you go to the app switcher, it's like very bouncy. There's not a lot of unnecessary action happening in the animation. So in daily usage, I feel like with this phone, it's obviously way faster than the Surface Duo 2. But with this phone, you kind of have to learn the animations and the length of the animations to like accurately use this phone without making mistakes. Like if I move too quickly with this phone, then it's gonna do random things. And even like swiping through, like the way that the speed is when you're swiping through the app switchers is very strange. It speeds up and slows down. Look, like I tried to swipe to this direction, but then my finger got stuck because the animation wasn't complete. Like it has like a strange animation right here at the end. So you kind of have to learn the animations on this phone in order to like actually quickly do things. Like for example, oftentimes when I'm trying to swipe down or something, it will read the input as like a different direction. I kind of get stuck in a left or right swipe versus like trying to swipe up or down. Yeah, this phone on the surface, like you can look at these animations and be like, oh, this looks pretty cool. But it's kind of like cool in the sense of like a, I don't know, like a project. Like, oh, look at this. I'm showcasing, you know, my ability to make animations. But it's not necessarily like good in terms of like functionality and like smoothness and user interface and like using this daily. Like this animation right here. Why does it go all the way down? Like it appears at the middle and it's down here, so it's like forcing this little bounce right here instead of me bringing it down there and bouncing it myself. It just always starts in a bounce, you know, like that's kind of strange and it's very slow. Now Samsung, like I showed you, Samsung animations are always consistent. This one is a little different because it's not the normal task switcher, so it might not always be the smoothest, but like you always know what's gonna happen. You could just boom boom, you know, like it's just more consistent and more smooth in my opinion. Going to the quick panel, boom, boom, instant. And it's fast, but it's not like too fast where it feels like weird or something like that. Then the speed, in terms of like swiping through stuff, is just consistent, snappy. It's always gonna work the way you expect it to work. The momentum is there. So this is just a little bit about animation stuff. I feel like Samsung's animation, although it's not the prettiest in everything, I feel like it's the most consistent out of all the foldable phones I've used. Like I said, I used the OnePlus Open. I'm on the Honor Magic V3 right now. I've used the Pixel 9 Pro Fold. All those phones, they have like pretty animations in some areas, but then they're not as consistent as Samsung. And then another thing is just the quality of life things that Samsung has, like the edge panel and how customizable that is, the fluidity of using the edge panel. So like I can grab any app, put it into the fold window, drag it around pretty easily. I can resize it to whatever size I want, and then like it's just very smooth and it just works. On this phone, you kind of have an edge panel, but it's like you can't customize it. You can't add whatever apps you want to it. And then when you open the app in floating windows, like it definitely works, but it's not as smooth. I don't know if you could tell by the animations, but it's not as smooth as Samsung's. It kind of feels like it's unrefined. And then when you're moving around, like you can move it around for sure, but then you can't resize it however you want. It has to be in the app's aspect ratio. And there are cool features that I'll show later on in this video that the Honor Magic V3 has. I think it's some of the most innovative smartphone software, but just like the fluidity of using it, like, you know, I'm trying to put this to the side and it doesn't work. I'll have to like kind of force it and then it kind of goes to the side. And then even I put it over here and then it went to this side for some reason. So you have some kind of like edge panel, but not exactly. You have to swipe and hold for a very long time before it actually happens. And you can't customize that. On Samsung, you can, like if there's anything where you have to swipe and hold, you can customize the length of how you swipe and hold. You can customize the different directions of your swipe. So like if I swipe and hold down, I can do different things. Swipe and hold to the middle, I can set it to do something. And you can, like I said, customize the duration of how long you have to hold it. So it's just very smooth, fluid, and it works. The edge panel, you can move this wherever you want on the screen, you know, wherever you want. You can increase the size of the edge panel to make it easier to grab. You can change, like it has like a little cutout so you know where it is. You can change the color of that, the thickness, the sensitivity. And on top of that, the edge panel just has so many features. Outside of just putting any app and app pairs and stuff like that in the edge panel, You also have so many different things like people, tasks, weather, tools where you can have like a ruler, you can have a leveler, turn your phone to a level. You have reminder, clipboard, and it's just like so many things like tasks. You can put a lot of different functions in tasks. Like for example, type a note, write with a pen, make calls, screen record, calendar search, like search your calendar, add a detailed event to your calendar, screenshot. There's a lot of different options for that. So the edge panel is very useful on Samsung phones, and it just works very fluidly, smoothly. And then when it comes to multitasking, so this is another thing. Samsung, we already know Samsung does it the best out of all these foldable phones. People like to say OnePlus Open because of open canvas, but in my eyes, the Z Fold 6 is just better because of the flexibility, the fluidness, the smoothness, and the fact that it just works with all apps. Like on the OnePlus Open, you can kind of enable all apps to work in open canvas, but even then, there's only two sizes for the apps. So you have the open large view on the open canvas and then the smaller narrow view. One UI on the Z Fold 6 in triple split screen, you can just do so much. So right off the bat, let me show you gestures. Boom, 2 finger swipe from the bottom. I can open up another app in, top and bottom split screen, or 2 finger swipe from the side, open up on that side that I swipe from. So already right there, you have so much flexibility in terms of your gestures for your split screen and stuff. But then you can also add a third app, and Samsung is the only phone that has a true triple split screen. So go to the edge panel. You can do this from the taskbar as well, or even from your notifications shade, which I'm going to show just now. But look, this is triple split screen on the Z Fold 6. A lot of people say like, oh, screen so small. Why would I want these small things on my screen? It doesn't make sense. Blah, blah, blah. I say this time and time again. There's so many different scenarios where triple split screen makes sense for all apps to be on the screen at once. Like for example, finances, banking app, notes app, calculator app, or banking app, notes app, and then I can bring in my calculator. So now I have two banking apps. I have my notes app and my calculator open at the same time. And you might say, oh, it's still so small, blah, blah. This is the beauty of One UI and the multitasking on it. You can resize anything to whatever size you want. So if you need a bigger calculator for that moment, resize it real quick. I'm messing up because I'm on camera, behind the camera, but resize it real quick, type in your thing, whatever, and then you can just make it small again. Or you can toss it off to the side like that, and it's still there, still running, and then, go to work. And then, for example, these ones, you might think they're too small. Resize really quickly, resize real quick, resize real quick, resize real quick. And then you can take it further, rotate the phone, and now it gives you a little bit more space in terms of like the width. And then you can resize once again. So the argument about like how the screen is too small, the windows are too small, genuinely doesn't make sense to me, because you have so much flexibility. You can literally move the apps around, and then do so many different layouts and setups. Like you really just have to take time to figure out how it works for you. Obviously, I know people don't want to do that in this day and age. Mans don't want to explore their phones and their devices. They want it to just work. I think this just works, but for finding specific use cases for features, that's up to you. But this works perfectly for balancing, for doing finances, for taking notes, for researching things, for messaging a person while scrolling Instagram, while watching a YouTube video. You can do all that. One specific use case for triple split screen that I do all the time is playing a game at the bottom. So my game will be a decent size. Then I'll make YouTube like this size, and then I'll have Reddit. So I'm scrolling through Reddit in between the game while it's loading, or I'm queuing up or something like that, trying to find other players to play with. And then I'm playing the game, watching YouTube, and then have Reddit or have WhatsApp or a messenger app to respond to messages while I'm playing the game with other people. And I could just do it like this to, have it a little bit bigger. I could also bring the game down so it's a little narrow, but it still works, and then more space on those apps. But I generally play like this with YouTube like this, and then messaging app like that. So the flexibility is just crazy on this phone in terms of like what you can do for multitasking. On top of that, the floating windows are also unlimited. So instead of having, a messaging app taking up one of the triple split screen spaces, I can have my messaging apps, like I can have text messages and WhatsApp in two separate windows, floating windows, and then just put them off to the side on each side. And they're both still there. I can quickly respond to messages, and then boom, put it back off to the side. Respond to messages in WhatsApp, boom, 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 put it off to the side. So like the flexibility of the multitasking, like I don't know if you're understanding me, is crazy on this phone. And then it has Samsung DeX where you connect to a monitor, and then you can go to work with a keyboard and a mouse or a trackpad. And it's like legit like a little PC in your pocket when you connect it to a screen. It also has a built-in trackpad, so you don't even need a trackpad. And you can type with the keyboard if you want, but ideally using the keyboard and the trackpad or the phone itself is good. And you can just go crazy in terms of multitasking, working, productivity, all that stuff is just really nice. But the general experience on Z Fold 6 on like that I'm trying to emphasize is that it's just smoother, more consistent. Things just work. All apps work with all the features. Even like the camera experience, the UI is just more consistent, more customizable, more straightforward. Like things just work. Now, using the Honor Magic V3 for as an example of some of the things I just talked about and like how it's different. So let's say I want to go into split screen, I can drag right here, and that I really like that. It's very See, it's another thing. A lot of these phones have limitations. On the Z Fold 6, I can open any browser like Google Chrome or Samsung Internet unlimited amounts of times. But when you try to enter into split screen with Google Chrome itself on these phones, a lot of them don't work. OnePlus Open, it doesn't even work at all. Pixel Fold can only split with 2 apps at a time. So like if you want to open another window on this phone right here and a lot of the other foldable phones, you gotta literally hold a link and then be like open in a new window. But on the cover screen, it's not giving me the option for a new window. So I gotta open the phone and then open a new window. So that's how you get 2 Chromes running at the same time. On the Z Fold 6, let me just show you real quick. Like this is why I don't think people understand the limitations of other foldable phones versus Samsung's fleshed out software, smooth software, software that just works with all apps. So split screen, I can do another Chrome, and then I can go to my edge panel. Let me just grab another Chrome, and then again, let me go to my edge panel, grab another Chrome, and let me grab another Chrome. So now I have 5 Chromes on my screen right now at once. And this is obviously excessive. I'm just showing you like the extent of the software, but this has like a lot of use cases, bare use cases. You can, on one tab you can be researching on a topic, on another tab you can be looking up something, on another tab you can be looking up something. Like there's so much flexibility in terms of options. So, and like people who say like, why would you want to have that many things open? I don't know. Have you used like a Windows PC? Have you used like even a Mac? On the computer, when I'm on a computer, I have a lot of tabs open. I have a lot of windows open because that's like what you can do on a computer. So the fact that the phone is able to replicate that in its base software, not even Samsung Dex, is just crazy to me. And like I said, the flexibility, being able to resize things very quickly, it's just nice. So going back to the Honor Magic V3, like I said, the software is cool on this phone, and there's a lot of flexibility, but there are some limitations. But yeah, I swipe up, then you can go to split screen. So boom, now I'm in basic split screen. When you get it right out of the box, a lot of apps don't work in horizontal split, but you can force them all, which is cool. So now you have horizontal split, then you can readjust your horizontal split. This phone does multitasking way better than the Pixel 9 Pro Fold, and in my opinion, better than the OnePlus Open. And then you have this right here, and then open a floating window. You can have multiple floating windows, which is nice and rare on these foldable phones. Not all of them do this. You can only have up to 2 floating windows open on the Honor Magic V2. But yeah, so you can have up to 4 apps on the screen at a time. And like I said, there's use cases for it. It's very usable. And then you can also swipe up and go over here for a quick floating window. It has the mini mode. It has this mode. Bring it here, or you can bring it here and it turns mini. And then one thing that's cool on the Honor Magic V2 is you bring it all the way to the side and it starts to split screen like that. It's kind of like Windows snapping to the edge of the phone. Really, really sick. Then you can also just grab it real quick from the top and do a quick floating window. Really nice. You can double tap the floating window to expand it. And then you can obviously minimize it, but then it goes to the side like this. So it's not quite like the Z Fold. And then when you also minimize them, you have this little menu right here. So this is also really cool for going back to different apps in floating windows. There's no like 2-finger swipe gestures, but this works really well and it's pretty fast. But I don't know if you're taking it in, but the animations are, like I said, it's inconsistent. Things are happening. It's so bouncy, and like it's trying to be cool and show off, but like it's not as polished as the Z Fold 6. And another big thing, so me personally, I use my Z Fold 6 a lot on the cover screen. I multitask a lot on the cover screen of my Z Fold series phones. It's just something that I do, and it works really well for me. Like I know people say the screen is small, but like the software just allows you to do it so effortlessly. So for example, say I'm in the doctor's office, I don't want to open my phone and lock in too hard because my name might get called. So maybe I'm playing a game and then I want to like watch a YouTube video with my headphones on or something like that. So open the game, 2-finger swipe to open, YouTube. Then I go like this, and I can have YouTube in a small window while still playing the game pretty comfortably. As you can see my hands, ergonomically this works really well. And for me personally, this is a big enough screen because I came from smaller iPhones, you know. We've had big phones for a little bit now, but like we came from smaller phones, and I feel like this is good enough for playing certain games. Obviously, you're not gonna like read text, like small text on this kind of split screen, but even then it works. Like for me, I'm looking at it through the camera and I can see by submitting this form, you agree to it, receive email. Like I can read that. Maybe not for everybody it works, but yeah. So I have YouTube in this small little window right here, and then I'm playing a game on this side, or even scrolling Reddit or something. This is also something I do a lot too. So I can swap these. So YouTube at the top, and then I'll have like a social media or Reddit or something like that down here, or I'm texting somebody. So now I'm doing all that on my Z Fold 6 with one hand or two hands, however way I want. And specifically what I'm getting at is this ratio right here. So this app takes up like 75% of the screen, then this one is like 25%. So now on all the other foldable phones, and honestly a lot of phones in general, they don't give you this flexibility and freedom. So let's go into a split screen. So open up this right here. So now I got two apps, right? When it's like in vertical, I can do this kind of like a similar split, but not exactly, the same amount of space. Like on the Automagic V3, the space is smaller compared to this one right here. And they're about the same length in terms of how tall the phones are. So the Z Fold 6 ultimately gives you more increments. That's the thing that I like about Samsung software too, that I tried to emphasize. When you're in split screen, you have so many increments, so many points of resizing the split screen sessions and windows. But this one is one that I use a lot, like having the really small window at the bottom with YouTube or something like that, and then just using my phone normally on the other side. But on basically like every other phone, you only have like this amount. If you go any further than that, then it just closes the app or it bounces back. Now, when you rotate the phone, you cannot resize it at all. Like it's literally just 50-50 split when the phone is in this orientation on the cover screen. For me, this makes this, because people say like, oh, bigger cover screen. This makes this cover screen less functional for me than the Z Fold 6, because I can't adjust the split screen. It's literally just 50-50 the whole time and it bounces back. So Z Fold 6 cover screen for me is just more flexible, more usable than these other phones. And even like in terms of people say bigger screen, blah, blah, even in terms of reading stuff, the Z Fold 6 displays more information. So, maybe your eyesight's not good enough or whatever, or it's not comfortable to read on, then that's fine. But for me personally, this cover screen is adequate. And then typing experience, I think I honestly type better on the Z Fold 6 than I type on this phone. But however, one thing I will say, specifically with the Automagic V3, this phone actually has really good reachability for a bigger foldable phone cover screen. So, compared to the OnePlus Open and the Pixel Fold and the Pixel 9 Pro Fold, the Automagic V3 has the best one-hand usage out of those phones, the bigger foldable phone screens. But still, the Z Fold 6 is just the best for one-hand usage. But yeah, overall, what I'm saying in this video is that the Z Fold 6 is the most consistent, most smooth, most fully fledged foldable software fold out there. Just like all the features, all the things you can do, I didn't even like really cover all the stuff I kind of just talked about, multitasking and smoothness. But the Z Fold 6's experience just works so many different ways, has all the features. The software is just really robust and developed and refined compared to the other ones. Like, don't get me wrong, the Automagic V3 has a lot of cool features. Like I just knocked on the screen and it took a screenshot. It has air actions. It has you could do this to select a specific spot of the screen. Like, don't get me wrong, bro. I think Automagic V3 has some of the most innovative features and the innovative software. But the Z Fold 6, like I said, just more refined, more smooth, and it has the most features in general, the most customization out of any of the foldable phones. It's just like what you value, I guess. Some people value having this big screen or bigger screen over more developed software on the Z Fold 6, and that's fine, I guess. But for me personally, when I look at Pixel 9 Pro Fold, that phone is like one of the worst foldable phones I've experienced in terms of like app compatibility, smoothness. Like it glitched so much, like it lagged. I had apps crash on me many times, the resizing issues. Split screen wasn't that good. Like general split screen is okay, I guess, but like getting into split screen is very tedious and slow. And games like did not fit this inside screen at all. Like that's the thing too. People want these phones to have the biggest screen, but like they don't think about how aspect ratio impacts it a lot, and also the optimization of the software. Z Fold 6 doesn't have the biggest screen, but the software and the optimization of that screen size works a lot more and is more functional than some of these other bigger phones like the Pixel 9 Pro Fold. But yeah, I just think the Pixel 9 Pro Fold is like, it's a honestly a poor excuse for a foldable phone in terms of the software. Like the hardware is one thing. Like I like how slim it was. I like how it's lighter than the last Pixel Fold. I like that even like the in-hand feel was decent, the ergonomics. But the software, bro, is very pitiful. Like Google is the creator of Android, yet their phones are the most limited in terms of software. And I'm not even just talking about multitasking and stuff like that. Like just in general, certain things that just don't make sense. Like locking two widgets on your home screen, just not being able to change your icons, no floating windows at all on a big, like you have the biggest foldable phone screen, but you can't do floating windows. Like tell me how that makes sense. Like you're not utilizing the phone at all in terms of like the space that it uses. Like even the home screen, there's so much wasted space on the Pixel Fold home screen. Zero customization in terms of the grid. That's why I'm just saying Samsung is just it's just the best in terms of like the software. And like the taskbar, you can customize how the taskbar works in Samsung so you can have it show all the time, but then you can make it disappear specifically when you're in split screen. You can tap and hold to make it disappear. Pixel Fold can do that too, but like Samsung generally just makes use of all of the screen. If you have the taskbar up and you don't change certain settings, yeah, it's not going to do that. But like you can just do that in Samsung, and I feel like the other foldable phones also just work so much better than the Pixel Fold in split screen. Oh, this is another one with the Honor Magic. So the Honor Magic V3 has horizontal split, top and bottom split, like I said before, but you can't start your apps in that. You have to start it in vertical split and then tap the middle and then horizontal split. So that's another extra step versus the Z Fold 6 just working from the taskbar, from the notification shade. So I'm gonna grab a notification right here and I could just drag it into split screen on the bottom. Like top tier software, bro. But other foldable phones, you can't just bring it into the horizontal split, or at least on this one. And then with the OnePlus Open, there's limitations, and not every app works in different sizes and all that stuff. Like the Z Fold 6 is just the most robust foldable phone software, and that's why I think it's the best overall. People talk about the cameras too, but these cameras on all these foldable phones are very comparable. None of them actually are flagship cameras. Even I think the OnePlus Open so far in my testing has the best foldable phone camera system. But even like I feel like the Z Fold 6 is just the most consistent. It has good pictures. It has the best video quality of any of the foldable phones in my opinion. But the OnePlus Open, really good pictures, terrible video quality in my opinion. Pixel 9 Pro Fold, it has decent pictures, but not honestly not better than the Z Fold 6. I think they're like on the same level. It might even be better in terms of the way that Samsung optimizes the pictures. That's just preference. But in terms of video quality, Z Fold 6 is better again. The Honor Magic V3, I'm still testing this phone out, but it looks like it has a lot of camera features, a lot of, video features, pro mode for video, which is I really enjoy, manual controls. A lot of phones don't have that. But in terms of pictures, it might be better than the Z Fold 6. I need to test it a little bit more. It's looking like it might be better. However, the way that the pictures are optimized and the way that the software, optimizes the cameras is not the best. And then another big thing that a lot of reviewers don't mention, regardless of if you have the global version of the Honor Magic V3 or the Chinese version, you're gonna have notification issues. So right out the box, this is the global version. You have to enable all apps to run in the background and not be automatically optimized by this phone so that you get your notifications on time. And then when you do that, it works. Like you get your notifications and stuff, but now you start to get this notification where it's like this app is burning power in the background. This app is burning power. You get that notification probably like 10 times a day on this phone. And then there's other notifications that keep popping up, like resizing is another thing. So on the Z Fold 6, you can automatically set to resize or you can do it manually. But this phone, if you close it, certain apps will just work. See, like this app. So I'm in the Ultra Human Ring app. When I open it up, it's going to tell me, okay, it disappeared. But anyways, it will tell you like, oh, resize the app, or like this app is not that compatible, and it will just keep popping up. So there's a lot of annoying notification things with this phone that you got to deal with. So these reviewers are not giving you the real experience. But anyways, I'll save that for the full review of this phone. I got Z Fold 6 full review coming very, very soon. I filmed a lot of it and I'm scripting and just working it. I want it to be a good video, so that's coming. Pixel 9 Pro Fold review is coming as well. So I got some major reviews on the way, so make sure you subscribe so you don't miss those. But yeah, this is just a talking video about why I think the Z Fold 6 is the best overall foldable phone. Like even in build quality, like it just feels really good. It's light. It's very easy to hold in one hand. The hinge is the best out of any foldable phone. That's not talked about enough. The screen, I didn't even get to the S Pen. Like both these phones have, styluses. The S Pen is way better than the Automagic V3's pen. However, I think this pen is better than the Oppo stylus on the OnePlus Open. So yeah, there's that. But just so much customization, so much ability on this phone, so much optimization, smoothness, reliability, all around a good phone. And then all the other foldable phones, they're really good in some areas, but they honestly fail majorly in some other areas where I think the Z Fold 6 is just the best choice overall. But the Chinese brand phones, this is what I really love. They come with the charger in the box and the case. And this Honor Magic V3 case is actually really good. Hinge protection, has a kickstand. It's really good. So, like, I'm not saying the other foldable phones are bad at all. I think a lot of them are good, minus the 9 Pro Fold. I think the OG Pixel Fold is better in my opinion because the aspect ratio just makes more sense for split screen, for games, for viewing videos, and even top and bottom split. Because the Pixel Fold can't do a top and bottom split by default. You got to rotate the phone, and then even then you're stuck in that mode. You can't switch it to horizontal when you rotate the phone. So a lot of limitations on the Pixel Fold, but the OG Pixel Fold, when you rotate it to the side, works so much better for top and bottom split. And yeah, overall less compatibility issues, at least right now. Hopefully Google updates that phone. But yeah, all the other foldable phones, they're good in some ways, but I think the Z Fold 6 just has it, man. It's just the best overall. So let me know your thoughts in the comments below, but we out. Peace.